And good evening, Sword Family. And it is time for the much anticipated tea ceremony. And since today is National Tea Day, I figured what better night than to try and get this recorded than today. Playing the part of my honored guest is Foxy.
Hello.
And tonight, we're going to be trying the Sister Eye Everyday Ancient Tree Red Tea. Now, it's actually a black tea. I don't know why it's called a red tea in the East, but it's called a red tea. We have our tray set up. We have our water, our tea pets, cups, and the teapot itself. Now, first thing, the dog very, very much wants to participate. But the first step is to prepare the tea. We don't really need this because we have a tea puck. This was harvested and produced in 2022, according to the back of the tea puck. Focus. And then we open it up. And that is your tea puck. So, I'm going to break off
So the
7th to a 10th of the tea puck. Not too much. That's going to be too much.
It's not too bad.
Into the teapot it goes. For the first brew is just to wash the tea leaves and to wake them up. We have our hot water here. We're going to let that sit for around 30 seconds.
While we're waiting, why don't you talk about some of the different kinds of tea?
Oh, there are many different kinds of tea. We have red teas, there's white teas, there's teas that can be served inside of hollowed out oranges. All of this, the tea set, all comes from our wonderful friends over at Jesse's Tea House. They have some tea oranges, which would be very, very interesting to actually get to try. And I think that's probably pretty good for our first brew, which, again, is just to wake up the tea leaves and to wash them. This particular tea, according to our instructions, is meant to be served between 194 and 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty sure my water is plenty hot for that. if we can actually show the camera, our tea leaves are getting awoken and washed. And that first brew gets to go to the tea pets. And this is my favorite part of this tea set. It's a floating teapot. So no matter how much I turn, it's going to not spill anything. Now we have our awoken tea leaves from the first brew. First brew is always the most potent because it's the first time the tea is being woken up by all the water. Second brew, gonna go to your guests. Now we're gonna let the second brew steep for a little while.
Yay. While it's steeping, he's getting some more water for the third one.
I'm using my Keurig that I always use when I make my own tea for my regular Saturday streams. Very, very hot. Out. While we wait, why don't we have a little bit of music courtesy of me. This is my very first song on Bandcamp right now. Belated.thesis.bandcamp.com. And this is my cozy tavern tune in honor of Foxy. This is her song. So I figured it would be fitting to play during our tea ceremony. Most of us. Using our wooden tongs to break up the teapot because it's still fairly solid. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to soften more as we brew. I once again want to thank Joe and Trelena Bachman for buying the tea and the tea set for me. And I want to thank Aunt Donna for wanting the tea ceremony done in the first place. The only negative thing that I can see about this particular floating teapot is you can't actually see the tea. It's underneath. You're not really going to see much until you actually pour the tea. We have these very traditional small Chinese teacups. They don't hold much, that's not the point. You're meant to sip and savor the tea. You're not meant to gulp it down. In fact, sniffing the tea after it's poured is actually part of the tea ceremony itself. Match. It says 30 to 60 seconds, and more than that. So, we serve the guests first. Always serve both hands. Palm, one hand on the side to serve your guest. You only have one guest, but yes, sniff the tea. Appreciate the tea. Then you taste. And now for the third and final brew, me. The third and final brew is going to be, unfortunately, the weakest of the brews in the way of potency. It's going to be very mellow compared to the second brew. You want your guests to have the best of the tea. Yourself, it's not as important. But, as this is the first time trying it, only a tiny bit. There's just a little bit in the bottom of this cup. So, snip the tea. Very floral, not surprising, but
Very good.
yes. You sip slowly, savoring the tea. You don't want to just swallow the whole thing down. That's not it. Now we wait for the third and final brew.
Very good.
After the final brew, we get to give our opinions on Sister I's ancient tree red tea. Now, while we wait for the brew, you have the second puck we can try later is the 1,000-year tree wild red tea. I have a feeling we're probably going to have a lot of the same notes. They both say floral and honey. However, this one says smooth and fruity. This one, I have to open because there's a sticker covering the back with all the nutritional information. Dog is very, very, very tough. But as it has caffeine in it, I'm going to say no. Floral, honey, full body, and fruity. This one is floral, smooth, fruity, and honey. Now we serve the last and final brew. Tell, look at the color of the tea. Final brew is much darker. So, even though I said the third brew is supposed to be for yourself, you serve again. Yes, it's hotter. First two brews, well, the first brew was almost still water clear. The second brew was more yellowish, and then the third is kind of a dark amber, some light amber kind of honeyish color. So we sniffed. And then you sip. You can't have it. Telling it for you. Now, with you, compared to the dry of the puck, the leaves now are open, they're awake, very, very different look compared to when you started. Just for fun, not something you'd normally see at a tea ceremony. I want to show difference. So, that's your puck, still dry and asleep. Now you have very much awake. Almost reminds me of beef jerky.
I was thinking the same thing.
Exactly. You know, you get that shredded beef jerky that you see as a kid. It's very, very different from where it started. And that is the end of the official tea ceremony. After this, you sit, chat with your guests, discuss the tea, discuss whatever it was that caused you to meet on that day. They would go home, tell all their friends about your wonderful tea. So now, time for the review section. Sister I's Everyday Ancient Tree Red Tea. For me, it needs a little bit more sweetness. Something. I like my teas to be more fruity and sweet. It's very floral. That's not a bad thing when it comes to tea.
I like it.
But it definitely has more of a floral taste. Reminds me of green tea. Never been a big fan of green tea just because it kind of tastes like grass. Most of the people who have been watching since I started doing this know that I prefer my teas to be fruity, berry teas, and oranges. This is a good tea. I will drink this tea. But it definitely needs sweetening of some kind. So now, your turn.
I think it's really good. Like you said, it can use a little bit of sweetness. But I wouldn't want to put too much in it.
And one of the best things about doing tea this way, as opposed to like a big pot of tea for everyone, is when you do it like this, every single person can easily add what they want to the tea for their taste. Tea is the star. Tea gets center stage. Everyone gets the same amount of tea, the same teapot. But each individual person can sip the tea and then say, oh, okay, this needs sweetening, or this needs to be a bit stronger. Every person can add what they want and get the best out of their personal tea experience. Now, we don't currently have any honey or any kind of sweetener that I could use to add to this to tell you if that makes a whole lot of difference. But just from the initial tasting, I can tell you that for me, it needs a little bit of sweetness. And now, because Foxy drank 3 very small teacups, she's going to be up for the next 8 to 10 hours. But there we go. A fairly traditional tea ceremony. And short review of 1 out of 2 kinds of teeth. Perhaps next time I will brew the second puck, but I have a feeling it's going to be much the same as the first one. Thank you for watching. Thank Foxy for joining me.
Don't
And
forget to like and share.
yes, don't forget to like and share. You can check out all of my links at indiecd.com/about-bladed-thesis. And I will see you next time. 再见。